I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on the Spotlight Network, we're exploring a true story of survival, love, and the desperate fight for freedom during one of history's darkest chapters. In her debut novel, Tears in Danube, author Nadine Nader brings to life the harrowing journey of William Jurin, a Jewish shop owner in Austria struggling to save his family as the Nazis rise to power. Based on real letters written during his escape, this book is a haunting yet inspiring testament to courage, resilience, and the enduring human spirit. We're delighted to have this very talented author join us here today on Spotlight. We thank the team at Atticus Publishing for helping us put her in the spotlight today. And we ask viewers like you to support authors like her by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing her amazing book. The links are below this interview. And be sure to download the Spotlight Network TV app streaming on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire TV. Nadine, thank you so much for joining us here today on Spotlight.
Well, thank you for having me.
Great to have you on the show. This is a powerful book. Anything to do with the Holocaust is truly gripping to me, to the point where it moves me to tears because I cannot believe the depravity of human beings at times. The fact that this book is based on real letters is what really draws people in. How did you come across these letters?
I met a man, and God, his name's escaping me. And he was telling me about his grandfather's background. And then he said he had this letter. And I said, "Oh, can I read it?" And I did. And I said to him, this story needs to be told. And he says, "Oh, it's just a family story." And I said, "Oh, no." I said, "This is the kind of letter a Holocaust museum would kill to have in its collection."
Yeah.
And I said, "I hope you will pursue that." And then he gave me permission to write this story. I talked with him and his cousin for a lot of additional background information, and then just started writing.
Tell us about that letter that gripped you. What did it say in part?
It was to his sister in Poland. He's from Austria. It was to his sister in Poland, and it was to his brother in Peoria, Illinois, where he was going. He was on the ship heading to the United States when he wrote it. And he began by telling of the invasion of Austria by the Nazis, and the Austrian population had been softened by years of Nazi propaganda, so that when the Nazis came in with their tanks and their soldiers, they were welcomed. Within hours, their banners were up. Houses and businesses that were Jewish were sprayed with swastikas and terrible sayings about the dirty Jews. And people started to celebrate in the street. The soldiers brought alcohol, food, and things to them, and they partied in the streets and began very despicable behavior toward the Jews. He later goes on to detail that he had worries for himself. He was not that worried about his sister or his wife and children. They were Christian, and he thought they would be safe, but he knew there was no way he could stay with them. And he also thought that possibly they could attack his children. They were half Jewish, and with the Nuremberg laws that made them Jewish. So he talks about his business. He owned a rubber store. Rubber at that time was fairly new. It was synthetic rubber had been discovered, and he had everything in his store from tires to kitchen gadgets that were made out of rubber. And it was a thriving business. For some reason, and he had no idea why, all the other Jewish stores in the area were marked with Nazi swastikas and things, but his never was.
Hmm.
And he knew his father had been a very respected man in the community, so he wondered if that offered him protection, or
Hmm.
if the fact he was married to a Christian offered him protection.
Hmm.
So he went along and told about how hard it was to get a visa.
Hmm.
He had his passport, and he took it and he went to Germany with it to get a visa, and they said they couldn't accept it because it was an Austrian passport and there was no more Austria. So he was terrified to go back to Austria. Not that he wasn't terrified in Germany, but he
Hmm.
went back to Austria, and he got an Austrian permit and went back, and they said they were not giving visas to Jews.
Hmm.
He had wanted to go through Poland to get the Siberian Trans-Siberian train to Singapore, and from there make it to the United States. But he couldn't. They wouldn't give him the visa because the Poles said that too many Jews were taking these visas, going to Poland and staying there, or going someplace else. So he had to return to Germany and or to Austria, and no one would take him in. He tried to go to his wife's home. She told him, "Get out. I've already filed for divorce." She didn't want to, but she had been advised she better do that because it was the only way she could get his store and the house in her name. So he went to he had a friend who was with the SS. They had been childhood friends. He went to his house, and Hans wasn't very happy to see him, but did help him find lodging, and he stayed in a hotel in Vienna while his divorce was pending. Um, he details the harrowing divorce hearing,
Hmm.
um, and he stays there under protection until he can finally get passage on the ship to the U.S.
Amazing. It's just an amazing, gripping story of this era. I can just picture him on that boat writing that letter where he must feel like he's going from hell to heaven when he's going to go to the United States. And then sharing this journey with his sister, you said, right?
Yes,
Yeah, in the letter.
um,
Yeah.
and to his brother who was in Peoria.
Mm.
Um, I found out from the family how he made it from New York to Peoria. His brother drove him, or he took a train to Chicago, and then his brother picked him up and drove him to Peoria.
Yeah.
And he was totally amazed at what was going on in Peoria. In fact, many Jews had gone to Peoria, and there is a Jewish memorial there
Mm.
because of their influence in the community at that time.
Yeah. Amazing. Amazing. So this gentleman you met shared this letter with you. This letter basically became the framework of your book. You just needed to expand on different areas
Yes,
and fill in the blanks and that kind of thing and paint the
exactly.
picture.
The events are pretty much all true. Um, but what isn't is the dialogue,
Right.
some of the descriptions. Although I did a lot of research as to what Vienna looked like, what his store looked like, things like that, to kind of give a true picture of what it was like in Germany or
Yeah.
in Austria. It was
Amazing.
Germany at that time.
Amazing. I know you worked in academia. Is this your first book?
Yes.
Okay.
Um, it was inspired basically by the students I taught in my Holocaust Lit class,
Hmm.
who told me that I needed to write a book. And while raising children and teaching full time and serving on committees and doing all the things that's expected in academia, I just never had the time.
Hmm.
But when I got this letter from my friend, I just thought, wait, this is a sign.
This is definitely a
Write this
sign.
book.
Definitely a sign. Yeah, yeah. When I was in college, I played Otto
Oh,
Frank's father.
yes.
And the director used to read to us each night about the atrocities at Auschwitz and other areas. And it would literally move us to tears, and motivated us for our performances. And your book again had that same effect on me. It's very, very powerful, your story. Um, and I'm glad you shared it. I've got to ask you this, though. We're living in an era now that, when I was in college, I couldn't have pictured it. I went to college in the 1980s, and anti-Semitism, I thought, was largely erased. And now we see absolute hatred towards Israel, towards Jews. It's an unsafe place in many circumstances. What do you make of this insanity?
Well, my afterword, if you read it, talks a lot about what might happen if Trump was reelected.
Hmm.
Um, Quite honestly, I didn't think he would be. And when he was, I went into an incredibly deep depression.
Hmm.
It's very hard for me to function for a number of weeks after.
Hmm.
Um, what I'm seeing now is so incredibly disgusting.
Hmm.
Um, Not only is Trump targeting, uh, well, Trump has hired Elon Musk, who is
Hmm.
basically an anti-Semitic, um, a racist,
Hmm.
and the policies that they are instituting are not just affecting Jews, but affecting Palestinians, affecting immigrants from Central America. Um, they're
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I have my own personal worries. My two daughter-in-laws have a Central American background,
Hmm.
and one is a naturalized citizen. I worry about her the most
Yeah.
because he wants to take away, Trump wants to take that away.
Yeah.
And although the courts are stopping them, I'm just hoping that the courts can hold,
Hmm.
especially the Supreme Court, as it seems to always give Trump what he wants.
Hmm.
Although lately they've been a little stronger.
Yeah.
Um, I have a I have quite a few Jewish friends, and my one friend said her husband died a while ago, and she said, "I'm keeping my married name." She said, "If I go back to my birth name, I'll be spotted as a Jew." And she worries so much for her son, who's half Jewish. At least he has his father's last name too.
Hmm.
But there are real concerns in the Jewish community about the treatment of them, especially with people putting swastikas and everything. And it's just horrible. I remember, this digresses a bit, but when I was first hired at Delta College in 1986,
Hmm.
anti-Semitic material was found in our women's and men's bathrooms. And the college acted quickly to take care of that. But the Klan, Saginaw is near the thumb of Michigan,
Hmm.
which is a very rural and a very conservative area. In fact, the man who uh, supplied Timothy McVeigh with the dynamite for the Oklahoma City bombing was from a town not too far from where I lived.
Hmm.
So the area is not exactly progressive. So I had fears then, and when the person who had taught the Holocaust Lit class before he became chair tapped me to take it over, I was more than willing to do that to try to educate as many as I could about these horrible happenings.
Yeah.
And I think now what we need to do is more education.
Exactly.
Um, you
I
know,
think books like yours are a great lesson, a great message, no doubt, because it's amazing what people forget. Their memories are very, very short. They don't remember what happened on September 11th, 2001, even,
yeah,
let alone they don't remember what happened, more than half a century ago during the Holocaust. But they need to remember as as a well-known saying, if you forget history, you're bound to repeat it, right? He who
Exactly.
forgets history are bound to repeat it.
And it seems like this country has forgotten history and forgotten who we fought against in World War II.
Yeah.
My father was a World War II veteran, although he was in the Pacific Theater,
Mhm.
but he was fighting a type of fascism there
Yeah.
with the Empire of Japan.
Yeah.
And it's the first time I ever was glad my father was gone
Mm.
was when Trump was elected in the first term.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad he's not here to witness this rise of fascism,
Yeah.
because as far as I'm concerned, we've turned into a fascist state,
Yeah.
or an oligarch, or
Oligarchy. Yeah.
oh, that's it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Sure.
And I think my age, I'm forgetting how to pronounce things. And they, the world needs to be reminded. I've been very gratified with the feedback I've received so far
Mhm.
about my book, but I'm waiting for the critics,
Yeah.
the deniers, the Holocaust deniers,
Yeah.
because they're getting a voice in America today.
Yeah. Well, your book is a powerful reminder that we need a wake-up call in America because tragedies and travesties do happen. It happened, more than a half a century ago. During the Holocaust, we see similarities and parallels here today as well. The name of the book is Tears in Danube. It's written by Nadine Nader. It brings to life the harrowing journey of William Jurin, a Jewish shop owner in Austria struggling to save his family as the Nazis rise to power. It's a powerful book. It's highly recommended. The link is below this interview. Nadine, thank you so much for joining me here today on Spotlight.
Thank you for having me.
It's my pleasure. And to the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time this time until next time on Spotlight.